Nexxlegacy.
Kickstart this and go real authentic tonight right here on High Level Radio. Your man Branded is in the house, not only on a Friday night, but almost Saturday night for some of you people out there on the East Coast. I am alongside my co-host by the name of
Mr. Mo.
And tonight is definitely a night that it seemed like I've been waiting for a minute because I've always wanted to have dialogue with this gentleman right here, which we're about to put on live and direct here on High Level Radio. But also, he's one of the best entertainers to me that has graced this planet Earth. And tonight, I want to welcome my man, Mr. Pete Escavedo, here on High Level Radio tonight. Hello and salute, sir.
Hello, how are you? What a nice introduction. Thank you.
Welcome. First off, me and my man, Mr. Mo, we would like to welcome you and thank you for calling in to the show. And it's a privilege and an honor, like we kind of just said a couple of seconds ago. But I just wanted to let you know that there is a ton of people. When I say a ton of people, I'm talking about so many people across the globe. Germany, China, a lot of people are logged in tonight. Online radio is definitely a good look where we can be able to have a broadcast live, and so many people in so many different countries are checking in. Want to know how's everything going with Mr. Escavedo. So how do you feel about that worldwide accolades and that
That's,
a lot of people are checking
incredible.
for you? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that is so incredible. Thank you for having me on your show, and to all the people out there listening in, and thank you so much for your support, and especially your friendship, and everything is going well for myself and the Heath family. We're all doing great, and God has blessed us with enormous talent, and we're so happy to be doing what we do.
I definitely appreciate that. But we're gonna definitely kickstart it and ask you a couple of questions, and
Sure.
And Mo, I'll let you go ahead and lead off and take some as well. So go for it, sir.
Okay, well, thank you, Brandon. Mr. Escabedo, like he was saying, it is really a pleasure. I mean, I've enjoyed your music for so many years, many years, because I've been around a while. But I love the music. I love what you do, and your music makes me think I can salsa, but until I get up and then I can't. But I still enjoy the music, you know. But being a music icon as yourself, and actually your whole family, did you ever think when you first started off, did you envision the kind of success that you've had over the years?
To be honest with you, no, not at all. Because I think one of the reasons, like most people, especially young people are just getting started, you have no idea of, if you are going to be successful in this business, or, of course, it's always a struggle, and it's hard to be in this type of business, but it's so enjoyable and rewarding that's what keeps you going. I think for us, speaking of the family, and we've been so blessed to be able to play together, be a musical family, and for myself, it's just been such a reward and such a blessing to see my kids grow up and become great musicians, and the fact that we play together and make music together, it's just really quite an honor for all of us. And, I think mainly anyone who first starts out in this business is that you never know where the road is going to lead you. You never know what the end will be. And that's the exciting thing about it, is because music is something that you never stop learning.
Right.
And the road to success is always a constant hurdle. Like anybody in the arts, there's something about it that is so challenging that it's like running the hurdles. You got to jump over those hurdles. You got to take the next step up the ladder. It's not easy. It's difficult, but with God's grace and blessings, you will get there. If it's meant for you to do that, then you will get there.
when you look back at your career, and I know you were heavily influenced by Mr. Puente.
Yes.
Give us your thoughts a little bit, not just about the inspiration that person gave you, but also how it kind of catapulted a lot of what you do to this day right now.
Well, I think meeting Tito Puente was one of the greatest events in my life, because I met Tito when I was 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first saw him play live, I mean, I was just so amazed with his ability as a musician. And once I got to know him, we became friends, I mean, instantly. And, we were friends for so long. Actually, we always, thought of each other as relatives, because the kids used to call him Uncle Tito. And, and anytime that he came to the West Coast, we would always get together, have dinner at our house. We invite the band over and talk about music and just enjoy each other's company. We've always been close to his family, and his family's been close to my family. We still keep in touch with Tito Jr. and with Margie, his wife, and we still keep in contact with them. But not only was he a great influence on my style of playing, because I really think that his style of playing was absolutely the best.
Mm-hmm.
And there's never been anyone like him. His style of the way he played that instrument is totally unique and his own. And I, in a sense, kind of followed in his footsteps. I mean, because he's the one I really watched, and he's the one that I tried so hard to learn by. There are, of course, other great timbale players who play that instrument, and some of them are very, very exceptionally talented. But I just always loved his style of playing, and that's sort of what my style has been. So he actually helped me create and keep on performing that way for me. I mean, it was, just a learning experience to watch him. And also, because we were so close, I learned a lot about, music and what he brought to the table as far as Latin jazz and Latin music, his ideas and his writing and his musical ability has really been an inspiration to me.
Wow.
Very good.
Wow. Wow. At what point in your career, I mean, was there a pivotal moment or a certain performance or a certain time where you kind of looked around and realized, hey, I've made it. I'm going to be able to do this. I'm going to be able to make a living with this. Was there something, a particular point in your career where you finally knew that you had kind of gotten over the hump?
Yeah, it's funny that you asked that question, because I think the time that I was called to join the Santana band, and my first appearance with the band was in New York City at Madison Square Garden. We performed there for 4 straight nights, and that was actually the very first time I had played in front of a large audience in a venue like that. I mean, I was, when I was coming up, me and my brothers, we mainly played in clubs, nightclubs, dance halls, stuff like that. But this was the very first time just seeing a crowd like that, and of course, financially, being paid that kind of money at that time was
right.
It was an enormous thing, because I've been playing in the clubs and stuff, and, when I was coming up, I mean, to me, $25, $50 was, boy, that was, in my day, that was a lot of money. I thought,
stretched a long way.
It's cool to make this kind of money, but then when you start making, $400 or $500 a night, or even more, then you get to that point was, wow, this is what the big time is, you know. I realized that at that time, playing with the Santana band, that was the big time.
Right. Wow. That sounds great. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Yeah. When you, and I'm looking over your bio, I mean, you've played with, you know, just about all the greats in all different genres. I mean, some of these names, I mean, Bobby McFerrin, Cal Jader, Woody Herman, Al Jarreau, Ray Oviedo, George Duke, Anita Baker. I mean, it must be exciting. But what kind of challenges were did you come in contact in working with different artists? Were some of them more challenging than others? Were some of them was easier? And who was your favorite artist to work with?
Well, definitely each artist brought a different kind of thing to what a percussion player must do. So when you're hired to play for someone who actually is the leader of the band, they're the focus, they're the star. So you're, in a sense, a sideman, and you try to add to what they do, so that you don't get in the way of what their music is. So it becomes challenging in a sense, because you have to realize that you can't play the way you actually really want to play. You have to play the way that person hires you to play. So,
I got you.
Yeah, so in a sense, you know, you're not free enough to do what you do. In some cases, you are. I mean, it depends on who the band leader is and who the star is and what they'll let you do and what they won't let you do. And some of it is very challenging, because you're limited in some cases, especially like if it's a singer, like you take Anita Baker, going out on tour and working with her was very challenging, because I could actually overplay or get in the way of her vocals, because that's the most important thing about her was her vocals, and you couldn't overshadow that. You had to keep, you know, you had to make sure that you weren't playing overplaying and getting in the way of the vocals. So, and then there are bands where, like with Cal Jader, I mean, he would let us do whatever. I mean, he just said, you know, just play, you know, yeah. And those, you know, I'm telling you, playing with Billy Cobham was probably the best experience for me, because he actually just really let you do what you wanted to do and play the way you wanted to play. But it was so challenging, because he is one of those guys in that era of jazz and fusion, that he would change time signatures every so often, that you would be playing in 4/4 into 6/4 into 5/4, back to 4/4 into 6/8. I mean, it was just incredible. Yeah. So that was very, very challenging, but that's in a sense how you learn. You play with great musicians. You're going to have to play like a great musician. You've got to do your part. So that's the wonderful thing about it. It's just when people like that call you to play in the band, then you know you've got to step up and do your best.
Right. Well,
Pete Escavedo is our guest here on High Level Radio, and also he's brought to you by PeteEscavedo.com. Make sure you go to www.PeteEscavedo.com, ESCOVEDO.com. Make sure you go ahead and check out his website and everything that is Pete Escavedo, the E family, etc., etc. And one question that I've always wanted to ask you, because you know it's been many moons ago, I guess you can say, but at the same time, I've seen you perform, because you're so prominent out here in the Bay Area, and of course this is where the station was born, and I had a chance to see you perform many times. And one of the things that I've always taken was the fact that it seemed like every set you do, everything that you embody when you do go on stage, you just become whatever it is that was inside you to be able to get that talent, that God-given talent out. And my question is, what for you to continue to do it and do it well for so many years, and what has been like one of the internal motivations that you get when you do go on stage and perform? What kind of mindset that you actually do have when you do get on there and do your thing?
Mm. Well, I think basically, you have to have that spiritual thing inside of you also. Music is so emotional. It's very emotional. And actually, when you play music, you're playing who you are, because it's your personality that comes out when you play it. And for me, being a person who believes in spiritual awareness as far as believing in God, believing in Jesus Christ, and being a Christian is to me what, in a sense, motivates me, along with the part of playing with my family. So that all comes to focus when I step foot on that stage. I want to feel that the audience is completely with me, so that I feel that I'm just being myself when I play, and that they accept me for who I am musically and personally, and the person that I am. So that to me is that is the reward that I get when people accept all of those things that I am. So when I feel the love from the audience, that makes me even more confident, and it even makes me want to play better and better, and do as much as I can musically to not only entertain the audience, but to let them feel, well, I hope that I'm blessing them with my music, and actually they're blessing me with accepting my music. So there's the payback. You know what I mean? It's a two-way street for both of us, and that's that's inspiring to me. I mean, I like to look out in the audience and look at people's faces. See who's there, see if they're enjoying what I'm doing. What the band is doing, how the musicians play. And, when I see their faces, that they're smiling and they're enjoying the music, that's what makes us feel good. It even inspires us more to play better and to play better each time. So that's really the payoff.
Wow. And I think that's that's important for someone with the building blocks that you created when you first started to be able to say, for these younger kids and this young generation who may not know exactly what music means to other people and how it makes other people feel. So to get that from you is definitely important. And kind of going into the younger generation and things that's going on now, what does Mr. Escavedo have going on currently? Any projects in the works?
Yes, actually, I just finished my new CD, which is the Latin Jazz Orchestra. I recorded it live at Stern Grove. We did a concert at Stern Grove in San Francisco. So we recorded my set, and that's what's being put out as the new CD. It'll be called Pete Escavedo Live at Stern Grove, and I have some special guests on the CD, which I have Dave Cause, and I have Arturo Sandoval, I have Ray Obredo, and of course my daughter Sheila, and my sons Peter, Michael, and Juan. And it's what we do live. So recording live is just, that's what you get. You don't get a chance to to go over and fix it.
It is what it is.
Yeah, there you go. It is what it is, and you talk about something live. Well, that's exactly what this CD is. It's very live, and I hope that people enjoy it. It's kind of what our set is what a performance that we give when we play live and live concerts. And so some of the songs actually are, some of them were songs that I've already recorded, and there's a few newer songs, but most of it is songs that I've recorded way back when, or on previous CDs, or with other people. So it was fun, a lot of fun doing it. The audience was very receptive to it. I think we got a great response from the audience, and I think people are going to like it because it's like if they were actually still at the concert. When they hear the CD, they're going to say, "Wow, it's like being there at the concert." You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's the cool thing about it. Yeah.
That's great. That's great. How soon is that going to be available? Is it out now, or is it coming, or when's it going to be available?
Yeah, the release date actually is September 25th. And
Okay.
so, yeah, and so we're excited about that. My daughter, Sheila, of course, she produced it. It'll be on her record label, Stiletto Flats, which is the same company that the E Family CD is on.
Mm-hmm.
This is her second project on her new record label, so we're excited about it. Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about just the current state of everything? And it's nice to be able to see, the family that you have just work so closely to be able to put out the product that a lot of the fan bases worldwide will be able to check. But coming from where you started to where the record labels and the music industry is right now, how do you feel about its evolution?
Well, I think, because times have changed, we've become more of a modernistic world. The fact that the invention of the computers is greatly used now musically. So it isn't like before where you actually, I'm still old school. I mean, if you get a band and you rehearse the band, put the band together, go into the studio with everybody, and start recording. You record everybody there. Now things are different, where you record maybe just a rhythm section that you keep adding on, and you even have machines, keyboards that do drum machines that sound like horns, that sound like whatever you can get out of a keyboard. So times are really, really different. And I think the fact now, too, of what it is that most musicians are doing, because most of the musicians nowadays have their own studios and their own recording components that they can do their recordings at home. So what happens is they actually are individually putting out CDs that they own themselves, because nowadays the record business and the record companies, they're not signing a lot of people and a lot of new people only because the music has changed. The music at this point and in this era of 2012 is really geared to very young listeners and very young people. We've got people like Justin Bieber who's selling millions of records. And you got a lot of young rap artists who are becoming millionaires, but that's where the music is right now. So if you have someone, for me, like who's in the Latin jazz field, a lot of the companies don't want to spend money on someone who plays Latin jazz, only because they're not going to sell a lot of records. There's a small audience for that, a great audience, but speaking of audiences, it's a very small audience that listens to Latin jazz. So the record companies know that, so they rather put out someone that's pop orientated, R&B or pop orientated, that's going to sell millions of records. So you look at the stars that are currently stars now. They are not only singers, but they're dancers, and most of their shows are very, very production-wise is very, very large, like Lady Gaga or Jennifer Lopez, or all the big stars that are on tour have a an enormous production show. And it's not like before where you've had just great musicians who just play.
Right, right.
Yeah, and that's not it anymore. So, you know what I mean? It's
And
a
I
whole
miss that
different
personally.
thing. Yeah, yeah. But you still find it in the jazz clubs. You know, you can find that in the jazz clubs, in the small clubs where you get the guys that just, you know, can really play. You know, the jazz musicians, the Latin jazz musicians that they just go in there and play. You know, that's their thing. That's what they do. But that's kind of what we geared in a sense when we put the E-Family band together, because with all of us, myself, Sheila, Juan, and Peter Michael, the music is completely different. It's, in a sense, more pop-orientated than what, you know, I would normally do, but because the kids are younger and they have their own style of music. Sheila has her style of music, and both my sons are the same way. They have their own style of music. And so we had to be careful in the sense of what we were going to record, because my thing is the Latin jazz thing, and I didn't want to put a lot of that into the E-Family music, because we wanted, like the song you just played, I Like It, is basically, you know, kind of an R&B kind of little Latin, almost like a war or confrontation kind of style of music. And so, but that single has enabled the E-Family CD to be played more because of that style of music. Now, I don't know if radio stations will be playing my Latin jazz CD. I hope so, but
this one will.
That's more, yeah. I sure hope so. But,
Definitely.
yeah, and that's, you know, it's just getting harder for guys. I mean, you know, I come from the era of back in the, you know, the 50s and 60s, and because I was listening to Miles Davis, I was listening to Coltrane and Charlie Bird, I was listening to all of these great mainstream, wonderful musicians that played so differently, and you don't hear that anymore. That style of music, I don't think anybody's barely playing that style of music anymore. So it's just not there anymore. And you look at during the summer, all of these jazz festivals, and they're called so-called jazz festivals, even in Europe. But you're going to find R&B acts. You're going to find that are into what they used to call a jazz festival. So now you got Earth, Wind, and Fire, and you got all these kind of different bands that are playing jazz festivals. And you will get maybe a Herbie Hancock or a George Duke or someone like that, or you even get the smooth jazz festivals where you've got all the Boney James, Gerald Albright, all the saxophone players that are playing the smooth jazz, you know. So you know, it's so funny that how music revolves, and it starts in one place, makes a full circle, comes back, and it starts all over again. So we're in this era now of, like I said before, audiences that are very young. So this is where the music is now. Hopefully we'll get to that era again where, you know, the jazz comes back on the scene and the Latin jazz becomes back on the scene. There are still places for us to play, granted, and we're still working, but it's not that big venue. It's not the big, elaborate coliseums and those real large venues that let us play. I think we're very fortunate in the fact that we've been able to play Playboy Jazz Festivals, a lot of the big outdoor things that we get to do, and go to Japan and go to Europe and like that. We're still able to do that, but it seems like every year it gets less and less because the way the music is evolving. So, yeah, and of course this is only my opinion as as I see it. And maybe it's true or maybe it's not true, but this is what I see happening.
And you know what, Pete? I think, and Pete Escavedo is our guest on High Level Radio. I think, having shows like this on radio stations that really appreciates the art form of jazz, Latin jazz, smooth jazz, whatever. To me, it's necessary to be able to have a different alternative to what's being out there. Like, you see a lot of mainstream hip hop, you see a lot of mainstream R&B and soul. To me, I've always been a type of person where, if it sounds good, I'm gonna listen to it, and I don't care what genre of music it is. It's more important to me to be able to get the good music out to the other people that may not have known about it. And I think that's important, and that's what's lacking too, like the support. So, definitely before Mo, I know you have a question as well, but you're definitely going to get that support because I'm in my mid-30s. Mo's a little bit older, but it just seems like I've always listened to you for a very, very long time, and I've always stuck to your type of style because it's authentic. And not only that, as a vivid an avid listener of music, it's you can tell that you give a damn about what you do. Your passion is there, and we can tell by when you play.
And at the same time, that the comments that I made, I'm not in no sense mean or disrespect any of the other music.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, because it's all good. The great Duke Ellington said, "There's only two kinds of music: good and bad." So if you play good, I don't care what style it is or what. I mean, there's music that comes from all kind of different countries, and it's all great. I mean, there's so much style of music that is so beautiful. I mean, I love, especially I love listening to Brazilian music. I love R&B because I love all the guys that play that. So I was brought up. I come from the Bay Area, and there's that hub of the Bay Area where we were all coming up, when you had Tower of Power and Grateful Dead, and I mean, so many different styles of music in the Bay Area that I was part of that. I listened to all of it, the Latin rock, the Santana, all of that stuff is in me. So if I incorporate some of those things, granted, I'm not the true real Latin jazz artist, but I like to combine whatever music that I have listened to and liked and styles that I like, that I'll incorporate that into what I do, and because I was brought up that way, listening to all those different styles of music in the Bay Area, that all of that has stayed with me. So, but of course, my love for the Latin jazz that I do now is basically what I'm concentrating on now. So, yeah.
Let me ask you this: Are there any young groups that are coming up that you know of, or that that are kind of keeping the tradition alive, that are kind of keeping the whole Latin jazz? Because as you mentioned earlier, it seems like now so much of the music has changed to the hip hop and individuals and people. Anybody with a computer and a microphone can cut a disc now. And are there other real talents out there that you're aware of?
Yeah, there definitely is. There's actually Carl Perazzo, who actually is the percussion player in Santana's band. Well, he has a band of his own called Avance, and that band is basically a salsa band, but the arrangements are great. The guys are young. They play really good. They're very, very good musicians. And so that style still exists, the salsa style that I really like. There's also a young girl, Natalie Cressman, who plays trombone. She is actually the daughter of Jeff Cressman, who plays trombone with Santana now. And she's put out a CD called Secret Garden. And she's basically into jazz and a lot of different styles of music. Also very talented young trombonist. She's very, very good. And there are a lot of great musicians back east. There's a guy called Chembo Cordillero who has a Latin jazz group, follows in the tradition of like a Ray Barretto kind of Latin jazz thing, and he's very good. So there are a number of very, very fine musicians, young musicians that the tradition of Latin jazz alive. Because as I look at the guys that were there when I started and the guys that have passed away, which most of them that I grew up listening to are basically gone. They're not around anymore. So I'm looking at the guys that are still here, which is Eddie Palmieri, maybe Fort Apache still exists. There's Ray Vega out of New York. People like that are still doing the Latin jazz thing. But when you look at a lot of those great Latin jazz big bands, orchestras, they're all gone. So I've kind of taken a stand where I want to keep this tradition alive. I want to keep it going, and I think that this is what I was meant to do, and this is what is meant to be for me.
Right.
That because of my love of Latin jazz, it's not only, in a sense, my duty to keep this going, but it's because I love it so much that I wouldn't want to do anything else. So I feel that I've got to keep this going so that the younger people will get a chance to listen to this music. And I'm very happy with some of the young people that I used to have in my band, people like Rebecca Malione and John Santos, John Calloway, people in the Bay Area that are still playing Latin jazz, Wayne Wallace, great arrangers, great writers. They're doing their thing on their own, and they are doing such a great job at it. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud of all of them because they've actually matured into very fine musicians. And what they're doing is, in a sense, what they believe in and what I believe in of keeping the Latin jazz music alive.
And I'm glad you mentioned that. And as we get ready to wrap this up with Pete Escavedo here live on High Level Radio, when it comes to, and I'm glad you mentioned the fact that you want to, it was meant for you to do this. It was written somewhere. This was a God-given talent that I feel you feel like you have, and the world does as well. So when it comes to building a kind of legacy, a music legacy, a life-driven kind of legacy that your family and others can be able to take a look at and say, you know what, he did it or she did it the best that they could ever do. What can you be able to give to the younger folks out there, some tips on trying to build the legacy that you have or others that's in the position you're in right now?
Well, I think it's important for young people to know that if you're looking at a career of playing music, the first thing, of course, is to learn your instrument as best that you can. To work at it, always work at it. To improve yourself, always. And the fact that if you have a spiritual awareness inside of you that keeps you focused, keeps your feet on the ground, and makes you go in the right path, then you're okay with that. And whatever music you decide to play, regardless of what it is just to believe in it full-heartedly, believe in it and know that if this is your calling to play music, then go for it all the way. Give it 100%, and even more than 100%. That's exactly what it takes. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of ambition, a lot of sacrificing, but you've got to keep your spirits up and know that if you're one of the blessed ones, then you'll get there. It just takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Yeah, it takes time. It's a long road to cross and travel on, but the journey is so rewarding. It's incredible.
Amen to that.
Yeah. Let me ask you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Mo.
Okay, well, I was just going to say, I know that you guys, you performed at the White House at the Fiesta Latina. Kind of tell us what that was like, playing at the White House. Had you ever done it before, and what was it like? And is Michelle as fine as she is on TV?
Oh, you know what? It was so much fun and so rewarding because, playing for the president. And I must tell you, I really love Obama and Michelle. I mean, the First Lady. They are so nice. If you would talk to them, you would think that you're just talking to someone that you grew up with or your neighbor or your friend. It doesn't seem like that's the president and the First Lady because they are so down to earth and so nice. We were very fortunate not only to play for the president and the First Lady and the family, but we were able to go in and meet them personally and talk with them, take a photo with them. And they are so nice. It's just unbelievable. I mean, you've seen him on TV, you've seen her on TV, and they're just like that. I mean, they're great people.
Just genuine.
Yeah, and we're just, they're so down to earth, and we're so pulling for them in this next election. I hope they're there for, some more years.
You and me both.
Yeah,
you and me both.
In fact, Sheila's doing a lot of campaigning for Obama. She's doing a lot of personal appearances and going to a lot of the cities where the voting count was very low, so that we could get people to vote this time because it's such an important election. So that she's working on that very strong. In fact, she was in D.C. yesterday, and they're performing, I think, today for something the president is doing over there today. Well, we were lucky enough. We performed also a couple of other times for the president. So, yeah, it was a great thrill, and what a wonderful thing. I mean, a lot of things that happen in your life as a musician are the things that you do, the concerts that you play or wherever you play, and people that you meet. But that by far was one of the greatest things that happened to us, because after we met them and we talked to them and everything, and we walked out of the White House, and Sheila and I were walking together, we looked at each other. She screamed, and I said, Sheila, do you realize we were just talking to the president and the First Lady? And we looked at each other and we said, I remember when we played in Oakland up on the hill. We used to call this place Up on the Hill. It was a little club up there where we just made enough money to go to Quarter Pound Burger and get a hamburger the next day. You know what I'm saying? So,
wow. And now we're coming out the White House.
Yeah, that was it. Here we were at the White House.
Wow.
So that's when you realize, wow, this has all been worth it.
Beautiful moment. Beautiful moment. PeteEscavedo.com is the website to be able to check out. High Level Radio would like to thank you, the E family, and everything that you have done and continue to do. And you also have a Facebook. You can go to Facebook.com/Pete Escavedo for all your news. And when your project drops in September, we definitely want to have a release party. So of course, you can come back, hang out with us, play your music, promote your brand, and just continue to do big things, because people like us, we embrace it all. And like I said, it's beyond just being a fan. I just feel like, the passion that we hear from the music that you and the family have given us for so long means so much to us in more ways than just music that has a good beat to it or a good rhythm to it. It's deeper than that.
Yeah.
And once a lot of people do get it, they can understand exactly where we're all coming from to embrace this and to build a legacy based off of that. And you've done just that, Mr. Escavedo, and I thank you very much for calling into the show.
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great talking to you guys, and God bless you, and thanks for your help in promoting what I do and what a lot of the Latin jazz musicians do, and just great music people that just embrace your show and keep on doing the good work that you're doing. We praise you, and many, many blessings to you both.
Thank you
so much. One real quick question, and I know we got to let you go.
Yeah.
But one quick, I couldn't let you go without, because I was on your website and I was checking out your artwork. Man, yeah, I mean, it's not enough. What are you trying to do, corner the talent market? It's not enough that you're an icon, but your art, man, I mean, it is so visually stimulating. I mean, it's so visually stimulating that it's like, man, I can almost see the music, hear the music in the picture. So tell me just real briefly how you got into that aspect of artistic expression, and and what is that about? How does that, and how do you find the time?
Yeah, I know that's another thing. But you know what? I was doing both in school. I mean, I loved art, and as I was doing art classes, the same thing as I was playing music. So they were both running hand in hand. I actually had a scholarship to go on to College of Arts and Crafts. My art teacher also was able to get me a job as an apprentice with Foster & Kaiser Advertising. I was all set up to go into the art as a living, but I loved music so much, and that I started playing when I was in high school, and once I got out of school, right away I was working already as a professional. So I started making a living as a musician before making a living as an artist. And I've always loved it. I've always kept up with it. I've always wanted to paint and loved to paint, and so my artwork now is really taken full circle, because I've been commissioned to do the artwork in a hotel. It's called the Cupertino Inn in Cupertino, and all my artwork.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, and I've also done a lot of. I've had shows in galleries here in L.A. and sometimes in the Bay Area, and I'm going to do one in Sacramento coming up in a couple of months. I'll be doing a show there with my artwork. So it's taking full circle. And you're right about finding the time, because between going on the road and being so busy with the music, I always have to find the time to paint. And when I do go at it, I mean, my love for it is just, I love to be creative in that sense too. I'm a frustrated painter, and as you can see, some of my paintings are a little strange, but that's how I see things. I mean, there are great painters and musicians like Tony Bennett who paint so beautiful. Miles Davis painted incredibly well.
Yep.
So
right. I heard that.
Yeah, they're not only actors and people in the arts profession. So I think it goes hand in hand. It's something, but you have to give 100% to both, and that's the thing, is trying to find the time to do that. But yeah, I'm glad you appreciate art. Yeah.
Oh
yeah, I love it. Yeah.
A man with many talents. His name is Pete Escavedo, man. if you don't know, definitely check out the website. It's a thing of beauty. You definitely got to check it out and see. And please come back. We got new music next month from you. And actually, happy belated birthday, because I know it was in July. So happy belated birthday as well.
I appreciate that. Thank you
very
much.
No problem. You take care, and blessings to you. And trust me, a major highlight in my radio career is this one right here, that I was able to share this conversation with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. You guys have a great weekend holiday, and God bless and be safe.
You too.
Thank you, sir. You same. Thank you very much.
All right.
This
Okay.
is Pete Escavedo.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Nexxlegacy.